We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Stock Talk. Today we're catching up with Jeremy Poirier, who is the CEO over at European Energy Metals. This is a real treat because we wanted to look at the supply chain in Europe, and we always like to envision with a lot of these mining companies, what would it like? Who's going to supply some of this drive towards the electric future, and what's that going to look like? And who's doing all the R&D or looking for metals? So a friend told me to talk to Jeremy because they're doing some interesting things. So I wanted to get him on the show, and I'm glad to have you, Jeremy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
No, hey, it's a real pleasure. So I know you're in Finland. And I know you've got a large property, and it's also close. You've got a good neighbor, let's just say. I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but tell me about what attracted you to lithium to begin with, and also why Finland.
I've been in lithium, Andrew, for about 8 or 9 years now. First project we did was, it was probably pre all of the excitement that we've all seen in the space. And we found a resource in Nevada next to the only producing lithium mine within North America at the time, called Silver Peak. And we found a pretty significant resource there, and we ended up actually signing a supply agreement with Tesla. And I remember that sort of kickstarted this whole, let's call it lithium craze, I guess, for lack of a better term. And then after that, I did a company called Bearing Lithium. And that company was in Chile. It was an advanced stage brine project in northern Italy, or sorry, not Italy, northern Chile. My apologies. And we put about $60 million into that project and advanced it to a DFS, and ultimately it sold to our Australian partners. And so after that, I looked around. I reviewed a lot of different lithium projects. I had a few sort of personal investments within certain ones that I liked. But because of the excitement, a lot of the either advanced stage or high grade opportunities, specifically in South America, were purchased or built by larger companies. And so it took me a long time to find something that I wanted to, that I wanted to take on again in the space. And when this opportunity came to me, a couple of different things that I liked about it was, it's right next to an existing mine, a mine that's being built by Sabine-Stillwater. It's going to produce in the second half of 2025. It's in Finland, which is a great jurisdiction to work in, and has great geology as well. And the project was highly prospective. And Europe is building, last time I counted, so at least planned or building 30 different gigafactories, and they've come out numerous times with not only saying but also policies, and that they want to secure their own supply, and they're concerned about that. And there's just not a lot of production coming out of Europe other than the mine in Finland. That's really it. So I think the market will like the story and has liked the story thus far because it's different, and there isn't as many different projects within this area of the world.
Yeah, that's what I really like to hear when my friend was mentioning this. I was like, wait a second, this makes a lot of sense with the amount of gigafactories, like you said, in Europe. Where are they getting their supply? Are they going to have to ship it all over the place? And because most people will think of like South America for lithium, or even Australia, but if they can find some good source very close, I mean, it just makes sense, not only from an EU politics kind of perspective, but from just economics and logistics. Now, what's interesting too about Finland is, my understanding is it's winter is actually good for you. Like you're going to do most of your drilling, like because you need the soil to freeze a bit. Is that right?
It depends on what type of work you're doing in Finland.
Okay.
If you're doing trenching, surface sampling, then obviously it's tough when there's snow and ice on the ground. If you're drilling, it is preferable, depending on where you are, to do winter drilling, but you can also do summer and spring drilling there as well. Like I said, it really depends what you're doing, really what it comes down to. But drilling, you can drill 20 or 12 months a year.
Yeah, and you get all the work done as well. Now, you see this as a pegmatite or hard rock, kind of fine, lithium fine. We've talked on my show about direct lithium extraction and the clays and whatnot. Is that something do you prefer? And we'll leave those alone, but do you like hard rock? Is that kind of your thesis? Like, I like hard rock projects, and that's what you look for?
You know what? So as I said earlier, some of the projects have actually changed over since I started 8 years ago, and or been purchased or being built. So I've only actually primarily worked with lithium brine projects. I'm very aware of hard rock and I understand them obviously, but my previous experience was actually with brine projects. But it's hard to find high grade brine projects, as I said earlier. At this point in the cycle, they've either been purchased because they are the lowest cost producer for the most part. I mean, it depends on how high grade you can get for hard rock. So I do like brine. It's just it's hard to find, like I said, a world-class asset with high grade at this point in time. Most of them have been purchased or being built. And right now the market really likes hard rock, and there's been some really interesting discoveries. And from a conventional mining process, hard rock is a little bit more straightforward than brine, and it's not weather dependent like it would be with the evaporation ponds. So it has its advantages.
Yes. And so you guys, you're a fairly new company as well, and you've kind of charged out of the gate. And we'll leave. I usually leave stock price alone, but it's nice whenever you're being recognized. People are obviously liking the story, liking the angle that you guys have. Fully funded. What are your steps here moving forward here? If someone's looking at you going, okay, what are some of the milestones that they can measure to see if management's, hitting their targets, doing what they're saying they're going to do moving forward here, like kind of short term and like say a year out?
Well, a month ago we kicked off our maiden exploration program. It was June 26th that the team landed on the ground, and they're going to be working through to hopefully the end of October. That'll be weather dependent on how far they can go into October, but it is central Finland rather than northern Finland, so we're confident that they'll work well into October. And they'll be sampling and confirming all of the different pegmatites that are on the claims. And then they will be identifying further targets for drilling, further trenching, and refining down the land package, because the land package is 2,400 square kilometers, which is much larger than we need. And we may even look at potentially adding some land as well. So this will be identifying the structure, coming up with the geological model, and showing the market how large this could be. Because the one thing that we've seen so far is that things on the ground have been going better than anticipated. And they're not only are they finding pegmatites and different dikes and structures, they're actually finding more than anticipated and larger structures. So we're excited to be able to talk to the market about that. And show everyone, the size potential of a project like this.
And one of the other great things is when you have a comparable, and because you have got a neighbor who's building out a mine right now, are you finding, I know it's early stages, but are you finding that the geology is kind of similar? Is there any comparables between what they have? Is it on trend? Is it the type of thing where you go, you know what, we might be onto something here that kind of matches or parallel?
Yeah, we're 11 kilometers away from the Calibre mine that you mentioned. It'll be producing 15,000 tons per year beginning in the back half of 2025, and the geology is extremely similar. And one of the more important things I'd say is Finland is underexplored. So the geology it has world-class geology. So that what we're seeing on site so far has been not only very similar, but also really, really exciting. Like you're seeing, things that you want to see at this point in time for a lithium exploration project. And again, we'll obviously be talking about that over the coming weeks and months as we go here. But yeah, it's very similar geology, and then obviously being as close as it is, there's a real possibility here.
Excellent. Well, it was a fascinating one for me to get my head around, and I loved hearing it the first time, and I appreciate you taking the time to explain it a bit more. And I look forward to catching up with any results you guys put out, and just catching up to see how things are going with the project. But it definitely it's got all the ingredients for a nice recipe to work with. That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Andrew.
Have a great day, Jeremy, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again soon.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.